Yeah, I don't know if the term is freaking out, but I could feel the concern. Like a couple years ago, I was like reading more into climate change and like, this is this does not go well. And so I kind of was seeing this devastation, this potential for devastation. Like, okay, so I could feel all that. I could go into the dream, I could feel all that. It could be catastrophic in a lot of ways, drought and food shortages and war and famine and refugees over the next 50, 100 years. I could feel that. I could feel the heaviness of that. And I'm like, okay, is that the perspective I want to be on that? Like, I don't know if that's actually the outcome that will be. Lots of variables in the universe. Maybe not. Okay, that could be one. But is this the dream I want to be dreaming? No. Okay. What is a potential outcome for one of the directions of human beings? So I'm like, yeah. Okay, so how do I want to feel about it? How do I pull my perspective out of from the victim perspective to and the heaviness of that and see it differently? I'm like, well, okay, maybe that's okay. Let me open up the lens not of like my lifetime and things like that. What is the process for humanity to go through an awakening? Okay, maybe it's my assumption is that number of deaths in a short period of time would be terrible. Okay, but there's been things like plagues and devastating things happen to humanity before. It's like, okay, planet's going to change. The assumption is that's all bad. People die, that's all bad. Like, well, is that bad? Well, I don't know. That's going to be bad. It's like everybody's going to die anyways. The nature of a human being is you live and then you die. So that's all normal. That's not terrible. Dying's not tragedy. Some of these timelines and challenges might change, different than what I expected or what I assumed. Oh, there's part of my problem. I had made this assumption and calculation. Everything will go along fine and humanity will be great. And there'll be no challenges. You see, that was my baseline. And this extra suffering and shorter timelines and famine and drought is like, oh, that'd be terrible because it didn't fit my assumed timeline. Well, maybe I have the wrong assumed timeline of how Earth goes. Okay, let me take that out of the equation and maybe go, well, this is the actual path for Earth and humanity to come through a big awakening, get some humility, solve the real problems. Okay, and maybe it means much of the population doesn't survive for a period, and it's like, okay, it's not 8 billion people, it's a billion people in 200 years. Oh, okay. Who knows what that is? We figure a bunch of things out and we're colonizing the moon and Mars, right? Or we're recovering the planet and changing the geoprogramming to put the climate back in order. Uh, oh, okay. One of my things is I had to break what my assumed model of how things were supposed to go. Once I did that, I'm like, maybe this is okay. I don't know. And it's not going to be what I expect, but it was never going to be what I expected or assumed. And I stopped judging the climate predictions as a problem and kind of said, well, my baseline has got to be questioned as also as far as what's the plan for humanity and growth and how we evolve. Maybe everything should just go along. We should all live together in peace and not have any challenges or problems in our climate. You know, was my ego stupid model that is the wrong assumption.
That's the realization I came to this past week when I realized like, okay, some of the things going on here wasn't part of my ego mind's, calculation of like things that will happen. Like, whoa. But then I'm realizing like, but nobody promised me anything different, or I just couldn't see it. It's obvious why I couldn't see it. I mean, but actually it makes sense when you look at it. Now I really think about it. Oh, it was right there.
What was
And
right there? The assumption?
the change is happening. No, the change is happening.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could act. And I guess what I'm working with, I'll just share what I'm noticing. Doesn't need to be resolved or solved now, but I think as I'm noticing it, well, is that I could see, as you share that perspective, like part of me sees it and it's like, yeah, but a part of me is like, but why is it happening to me? Like, like some part of me is like, okay, if I would watch it from outside, like, okay, great, but I'm in it. I'm one of the people going through that. So it's like, but this is happening to me. It's all happening. There's like a me character that's like, this is
Mm,
happening to me.
okay.
And it's like a personal um, fear, I guess.
Yeah, to the character in the story, they have a different
Yeah.
version of what the experience is.
There's a me there, that it's happening
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But if you are out there without a belief about how life's supposed to go, you're like, oh my God, this is the most amazing ride. Oh, and look at all these predictions. It might be tragic. Well, tragic's a word. It might be not go, who knows how it's going to go.
You have to be really willing, with what I'm sensing for you, to experience everything,
Yes.
right? Like I'm willing to experience everything. And that means if something like that happens, I'm willing to go through that. And the fear is when you have a part of your ego mind that's like, I'm not willing to experience this. That's when there's a fear.
This
Because
is
now
wrong. This is bad. This is terrible.
this
This
is
is
going to be too
heavy.
painful for me. This is going to be too painful for me to take. So then there's a fear because you're not willing to experience that. Now you need to somehow
Yeah. Yeah.
manage it.
Okay. Yeah. And in the scope of the universe, what's happening here on Earth is not that big a deal.
Yeah. For the ego mind, that's what
Yeah.
for it, it sees it.
Yeah. For
It's
this
like this
human,
lens.
for this human that wants everything to be perfect right now, oh my gosh, this is a big problem. For Gary in his life, oh my God, I'm going to have immeasurable ups and downs. For Gary the infinite,
Yeah.
this is a funny time. Oh God, Gary will drop down this human for a little bit and get to take a peek for 100 years. Just a little snapshot of my exploding universe. And then try and make assessments about what should and shouldn't happen. Out of 13 billion years, you get to look at the last one lifetime and go, well, this human should know what it's all supposed to be. That's a lot of self-importance. To think that I, as a human, should know how the world should be and all the other humans and how this should all go. Like that's an amazing amount of self-importance to think I have it figured out and know a better plan.
Now, have you managed to get this human to a point when he's calm about it? That's when
Yeah,
he's okay with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
And here was that hard lesson, was humility.
And I think for me, you must have gone through that. It's a willingness to experience everything because that's what my human struggles with is like some beliefs about what he cannot experience or cannot bear. Like, let's say what you mentioned about global warming is like for him, it's like, oh, I cannot bear that.
Well,
That scares me.
so some of that happened for me in the past year and a half while I was kind of in sabbatical, not doing much in the community, going, this whole different paradigm was happening for me and going, oh, I have to integrate this energy and this perspective and this consciousness and incorporate this larger understanding. And yeah, it kind of did a lot to destroy Gary the human version 5.0. It's now 6.0 or 8.0 or whatever iteration I'm on.
Yeah.
And a lot of humility came with it. It was like, I don't know nothing.
That's a journey. Yeah. Thank you.
But I'm here for this cool ride. And this great Earth ship. She's beautiful. Magical place. She is.
I'm glad to have you.
Yeah. Yeah, humility. I gave up my versions of what's supposed to happen. And even what I'm supposed to do in it in the show.
Did you experience also any of that parts that are like unwilling to experience something or believe they cannot take it? Or was that more for you about the
Oh yeah.
expectation?
Oh yeah. I've experienced that. Yeah, I was trying to get my life and certain things and to fit my version. That was a big problem for me. And I didn't realize the level of self-importance I had of like trying to get things to fit my version, what I wanted or how I thought they were supposed to be.